Well, hello, happy Wednesday, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you on this lovely sunny Wednesday. Hopefully it is sunny where you are. So typically what I do on the second and fourth Wednesdays is I do a play to create demonstration. And basically that is just using the designer templates and walking through the play to create process. And specifically for scrapbooking, I'm going to be demonstrating the play to create utilizing scrapbooking and the design process. So hopefully through this process, if you are new, let me know if you have any questions in the comment. If you are a Kiwi Lane fan and been around for a while, then hopefully some of these ideas as we play to create together inspire you to go and to make some time in your life to play to create and to pull out your Kiwi Club kit if you're a Kiwi Club member and to play with that as well. And of course, like always, we'd love to see what you guys create, so make sure to share it with us. Use #create with Kiwi Lane. All right, I think I see your guys' comments. Why are they not coming up? Hold on. Here we go. They'll come up in a minute. My internet's kind of slow. So for March's Kiwi Club kit, hopefully everyone's got it by now. Hopefully I'm not doing any spoilers. I know it went out just a little later this month. But the March's Kiwi Club kit, I thought I would go ahead and just utilize that as for this demonstration today. And just also share at the same time a little bit about the Kiwi Clubs. And let me know if you guys are Kiwi Club members in the comments, whether that is that you personally subscribe to the paper plus the template club, which is basically what you see here, or the template only club, or of course we have the great option for Create a Club for those of you that want all the membership benefits on top of course, the exclusive products, the limited products that we release every month, but the 10% off your online orders and of course, early access to any overstock if we have any, and early access to the new releases. Anyways, so a lot of information there, but there's a lot of fun things to be had. So I would always love to hear what you guys think of the club, because we're always looking ways that we can take that feedback and utilize it in ways that we can improve. So March's Kiwi Club kit, yes, I had a lot of fun. I'm glad that you guys are loving it as well. And it's the paper, specifically the Kiwi Club paper. So Kiwi Lane, we use our kits to make sure that we include enough main patterns and supporting patterns so that they work together instead of compete. And of course, everything, we love pattern paper. It's great eye candy, but the problem is sometimes when you have too many main patterns, like in other kits, I come across this often where I have too many main patterns and then you don't really use main patterns together. So like, for example, these two main patterns, typically what you're looking for is a main pattern and a supporting pattern, but kits are still great because they already coordinate and go together. Right? That's so cute. I loved this. It was so much fun. It was a fun twist too. And I think that's what's fun about Kiwi Clubs or clubs in general, right? Is that you kind of get that monthly challenge too and that surprise. And it kind of, encourages you to kind of, as a creator, kind of push that maybe comfort zone that you're not used to pushing or something like that. But anyways, and then of course it's always needed to have some supporting or some blenders in there to balance out the busyness. And so that's kind of how we accomplish to balance it, is with more soft two-tone patterns. But the pattern still gives it texture. And that's always nice. For me, I like that little extra texture. Like texture, we usually think of a feeling, but the funny thing about patterns, slight patterns, like subtle patterns, they actually give that sense of a texture too, instead of maybe just a flat color or something like that. So I'm always a big fan of blenders personally because of that benefit that you're getting as you layer and create with a various difference of papers, right? So taking this medium and recreating it into what you see and need for your style and your expression. So these papers, there's 10 sheets, 10 12 by 12 double-sided sheets inside of the paper kit, and it's 80 pounds, so it's thicker cardstock than a lot of people. I know back in the day, a lot of companies did more of the quality, thicker, but it seems like a lot of them are going towards like 65 pound or something like that. But we, of course, still like that feel of the quality paper. So I am a huge fan of the Kiwi paper. I know it sounds like I'm biased, but I really am. And I hope that you guys are enjoying using these kits as well and see the difference in how that they're developed and thought about with a meaning and a purpose behind them than just like pretty colors, right? And patterns. We all love patterns. We all love colors, but we also want usefulness out of it. We want it to be cute and versatile, but also have a meaning to why it was created the way it was. And so we really try to put a lot of thought into those processes. So now to get into the demonstration as we play to create, I am going to be pulling out the designer templates. And of course, these are this month's designer templates. These are only available through the Kiwi Club. So these aren't ones that we go in the shop. You know, I'll just mention while I'm here that we do still limit or do releases for new products, but these ones specifically are limited towards the Kiwi Club members. And so if you like to have new added collections to your things, then make sure to check out the Kiwi Club. If you have a lot of paper stash and you're like, you know what? I have a lot of paper. I love the Play to Create system for scrapbooking because it helps me utilize my paper stash. That's why we decided to pull out. We understand that, and that's why we decided to offer a template-only club. And if you're one that likes to see what you get or have the variety of option, you don't like that surprise, then check out the Creative Club, because the Creative Club gives you product credit that gives you access to overstock. It's not a guarantee you'll get any product that you want like the other two clubs, but at least you still have an option that hopefully will speak to you and your needs. If that's a need that you kind of have on wanting to see something, not just having it like, surprise, show up at your door. I love that. I think it's really fun, but we completely understand. So we have options depending on your needs. So check them out over at kiwilane.com/Kiwi Club. And I feel like I'm just talking about Kiwi Club because I love it so much. I promise. And hopefully it's informative too. If you've had questions about Kiwi Club, hopefully some of those details I just shared with you answer those questions for you. If not, shoot them in the comments and I will answer them as I go along. I'm going to go ahead and pull out one of the background sheets as we begin to just demonstrate what a Play to Create system is for scrapbooking, and of course along the way hopefully inspire if you do have these specific designer templates or use it as a springboard what we create. But I'm going to pull out a background sheet. That's another thing that we intentionally do inside of our paper kits is we make sure to include well, for what they are right now is we have 4 sheets that are dedicated to your background sheets, right? And again, we do this intentionally because one of the things that we found as scrapbookers ourselves, whenever we went and bought paper kits, like collections, you had to end up buying 2 of the collections, and then before you knew it, you had all these papers and these busier patterns that were just, you used it, but you didn't really feel like fulfilled because you had like all these extra kits left over. So we include 2 options, really 4 options because it's double-sided, that are designed with a background in mind. How you use it, that's up to you, but hopefully that's insightful. So, and then you get 2 so you don't have to, that they can coordinate if you love to do a 2-page. If not, you love to do 1-pages, then that's easy enough. Just do 2 1-pagers, right? All right, so am I in frame? I think I am. Kind of tight there, but we'll get this going. So I'm gonna lay down the background. This is of course what we're gonna start playing on top of, hence creating our layout. And for scrapbooking specifically, the reason why we came up with the designer templates and the reason why, you know, the Play to Create system works so beautifully for scrapbooking is because one of the obstacles that we discovered or experienced was this. This is very common where you'll stare at an empty page, right? And you're just looking at an empty page hoping something would happen, hoping something will come to fruition, right? Like something's gonna come up and you're gonna instantly be inspired or something, right? And can't tell you how many times we experienced that. And so we developed the designer templates to help us give us a tool that we can visualize, but then also inspire us as along the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some borders here, and the borders are these fun shapes that you see. I always like to point out the way that these are designed is that they're designed with a side A and a side B. Because when we go to trace them out, we're gonna actually trace them out together, and I'll show that here, hopefully in this quick video. But also because when we design, we're actually designing both sides of our layout at times. So we took in consideration a 2-page need for scrapbooking. And so we understand sometimes I even scrapbook 1-pagers. Sometimes I scrap 2-pagers. Sometimes I scrapbook pocket pages. It just depends on what you're scrapbooking, clearly. But I loved that I could actually multitask in a way, right? And accomplish that at the same time. So all I did here is I simply took one of the pairs and put one on this side and one on this side. And again, I'll explain the tracing and cutting here. But the very big time savior and the thing that I experienced, and hopefully many of you guys are experiencing, is this ability to play, to invite play into your process, which will allow you to not only, wake up all your senses, your visual senses, your touch, I guess not smell, hopefully not too many smells going on, but really, connecting those two together with your visual and your touch and being able to just move them around, not stare at an empty page, but to start just seeing what you can come up with. We call it play your way, and ultimately that's what you're doing, is you're going to take the tools, but you're the creator. What you create is yours. And so utilizing what you have, of course, but having fun in the process. And so it's a lot of fun. This is really fun. And I love this vine. And so this is probably where I'll pull some things in. Look how many of you guys have used the vine yet from the Creative Club or the Kiwi Club. It's so much fun. One of the ways I love to do it is you could just layer, because we love layering. We could always do 2 borders back to back, and we could stick this guy in the middle, kind of like a little middle thing going on there. And these are the other designer templates that came in this month's Kiwi Club kit. So you got a fun little border, because it's not quite a border like the ones I just showed you, and some fun little elements too. So you can have fun layering these up inside of around your page. So I always love to layer, and you'll see often when I create, I'm kind of using, like, I don't like feel a page, like I don't stick stuff all over. And let me kind of explain that more clearly, like, right? You don't want to necessarily feel like you have to feel every space of your background sheet. It's more of a design, a look that you're going for. And so really just have fun with that. A lot of times when I'm creating, I will create on top of my borders, but I'm mindful not to cover my whole border. Like, I'm mindful not to just like slatter the border with all of these other accessories and layers, because whatever you cut out of these borders, the patterns and the colors, you still want that to help with the mood and the tone of your page. And so by keeping in mind, okay, this is going to apply a pattern, of course, clearly it's going to be transferred into paper once we get to that step, but you want to be able to showcase that and see it as well. So hopefully that's insight helpful. I'm not sure I've shared that often, but it is something I always consider when I'm creating, how much layering I'm doing and what layers are covering other layers. I love layers, but when you start playing with them, those are things that maybe just pay attention to as you're creating in the different ways. This is one of our photo sets, so I went ahead and threw that in because I thought I always look for opportunities where I can add additional photos. That's one of the reasons I love also the tools that we offer for the Play to Create scrapbooking Play to Create system, is because that was another struggle. I don't know about you guys. Please let me not feel like I'm alone in these comments, you guys, but I remember the days, and so it's always nice sometimes to remind you how far you've come, even in my own scrapbooking, and the journey that it's been. But I remember the days where I felt like all the ideas online were like 1 or 2 pictures. Sure, they were beautiful and they had all these really great, prima flowers and these different elements, and they made me envy in a way of that. But in the back of my mind, I was saying, I'm not gonna just scrapbook one layout with 1 picture. Like I occasionally have that need, but for majority I don't. And to have a style that really still allows you to have that eye candy, to be attracted to it, to be fulfilled at the end. Again, kind of speaking for myself here, but also still encompasses a good amount of pictures. So I'm going to play. So really at this step, what I showed you, I start with some borders, but the whole process is a creation process. So just keep in mind that at any point you can move and switch things around, right? So you can move and switch them around. So it's the combination for scrapbooking specifically. Usually it's the combination of your paper, utilizing your paper, taking full advantage of your paper. Full advantage, meaning all the patterns of the paper is what we pull on, because there's so much embellishing that happens just by utilizing your paper in the right manner. Some embellishing or accessoring happens that's very common in scrapbooking, and then of your photos. Utilizing your photos, spotlighting them, not overwhelming them, but supporting them and allowing the tone and the memories in your pictures to be reflected in your style. So adding a touch of your essence of what you perceive those memories to be, and adding your personal touch to each of those memories, again, when you sit down to actually scrapbook them. So love it. So yeah, so just play with those. Here, I'm gonna come over here. Guys, I'll have to be honest, I just got my nails done again. It's been a while with COVID and everything. And it's like getting brand new, like used to them. I used to get them done pretty often and I enjoyed it. I noticed my cuticles were getting a little dry, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna start up getting my nails done again. But now I feel like I'm retraining myself with these nails. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm gonna just play with that. Like I said, as you shift and adjust, just know that it's meant to be versatile and that it is a combination of all the things that you're trying to accomplish with the ultimate feel and mood of your page, but also your embellishments and your photos. It's all 3 that make up the scrapbooking creation, right? And again, we're talking for scrapbookers. If you are a card maker, the process is not far different. It's still a very visual, for paper crafters, a very design, trace, cut, ink, replace is the process that we have simplified it down for a paper crafting in general. It just means a little bit different as far as what tools you use, depending on your project that you're trying to accomplish. But yep, all right, I'm pulling in some more photos. I was just thinking, I know someone mentioned they love the photos, and I agree. There is also the photo mats that give you this nice little mat around your picture. And of course, I love to pull those in. I don't mat my pictures all the time, so I'll say that. And people always ask me, and I'm like, you know what? I don't necessarily mat my pictures all the time, especially if I'm using Kiwi Lane paper, because that background often doesn't compete. I feel like in the past, or when I use other companies' paper kits, sometimes I feel a need to mat more, because that background is a little bit harder, more competing. And so sometimes a mat really helps the photos just stand off. So whether it's because of a busy look or because you want a photo to stand off, like here, I was playing around with that because I was thinking, I love doing this. I know I've mentioned this before, but I personally love to take like 1 or 2 photo mats. You don't have to mat all your photos, but if there was this picture here that you were like, okay, I have a picture here and here that really set the tone, like tell the story really well, and you want the viewer, your family, your future generations, the viewer, whoever looks at your albums, to kind of hone in and that be the focal point in a way. I always love to incorporate photo mats to help me set that precedence on that. I was just thinking over here, I'm going to, I don't know, we're going to play for a minute, guys. Just give me a second here. We're going to play around with this. We're going to pull in, there's this little green clover here and this grass. This is, of course, with the Kiwi Club. So I was just going to design with a couple of those elements. If I wanted to pull in another accessory from the shop, one of them that we recommend, actually, here, streamers and the blossom. So every month at the Kiwi Club, we design them, but we design them with mind with what could coordinate with whatever already we have, right? And these are ones that we say, you know what, if I was maybe scrapbooking, I would utilize these. With that said, we often, meaning we, me, Debbie, Shiloh, and I, or Shiloh, Debbie, and I, we'll pull in other designer templates because that's kind of the process where we allow the tools to help us. But make sure to download each month this PDF. Whether you're a Kiwi Club member or not and you want to get a close look at them, go over to our shop. Underneath idea books is Kiwi Club digital idea books. But if you scan this with your smartphone using your just picture, your camera on your phone, it'll take you straight to the website. You simply just log into your online account, click on it, and it will take you over. You add it to your cart. That way it adds to your account downloads. And it's there and it's saved there for whatever time frame that you might need it and get back to it. But these are ones that you'll see often spotlighted and highlighted along some of those samples that we share for ideas to inspire you in whatever fashion that might be. So Blossom was one of them. So I could pull out Blossom and see what that looks like, right? So maybe if I did want an extra layer down here, ooh, you could even layer it with like the little clover inside. You can also not do it as a clover, right? If you weren't necessarily wanting that clover effect, then you could just, when you go to trace it, just leave off the stem and it almost just creates another flower. You could put a little button, keep things really simple, clean, add detail if you like to add detail, whatever that might look like. So, okay, I'm gonna do something like that. We're gonna throw in a couple more photos here. I have all my photos mixed up. What if we, I don't know, I'm gonna play around here, see. You guys see what I'm doing here? Because I just told you guys about my nails. If you also have a hard time picking them up for a reason, I just get into the habit where I use it, but over time, I'll get used to my nails again. I had them before. I just can't get used to them right now. So I was just thinking, I don't do this often, but it could be cute to almost do like this 2-tier photo thing going on. I'm gonna give a minute here. And then we can do like a cross-reference here, or like this spot right here is kind of catching my attention. So this could be a good place to maybe add some journaling, depending on the paper that you use, right? It can be either an embellishment, you can use fun colored patterns, and it's just an embellishment, a bracket embellishment. You could do a bracket embellishment, but also if you use some light cream or something, then it's a perfect spot for journaling or stamping or adding some kind of sentiment like that. So, well, there is my layout. Of course, you can create many different variations with just the designer templates that we have out here. But let me go ahead, since I did mention it early on in the video. The next step is to trace, cut, ink, replace. And so if I had just designed it, right? So instead of staring at an empty page for who knows how long, I have stared at an empty page in the past for a good amount of time, like an hour, 2 hours, Shiloh more than that. So now instead of staring at an empty page, I just play for a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and then you just kind of go with the design, right? Something that catches your eye. Don't overthink it. Don't just create something. There's no wrong, there's no right. And then once you get to this point, you're gonna trace and cut each element out. I start with my borders. So I'm gonna go back to my border here. And I usually start with this because of this is where I'm gonna pull in what I consider a main pattern, which is usually a pattern that has a little bit more movement, a little bit more design, usually more of a theme, depending on what you want. That could be something like, just in this kit, I'll show you this. That could be this one, this one. I would not personally use these two together. That's not something I would personally go for. So in my mind, these are considered main patterns. Main patterns are usually intended for one layout over here, another project over here, kind of thing. Or if you wanted maybe a strip of something, that's good. But again, those are just some Susan's insights. There, you run with it, you go with it. But I think it's always great to kind of share with you some of the things that I definitely have learned over time and experienced, but ultimately just have gotten to a point where it's second nature now through all of that. And so usually the first thing I reach for is a main pattern. Often, not all the time, because we're talking about creation process here. But so just like I was sharing with you guys the A-B, right? And I was telling you that we're going to cut those out together. Okay, let me grab that here. What we're going to do is you're going to line it up on this edge of your page, and you would trace it with a pencil. Take your other one, and then I just make a mark. Where I make that mark, I'm going to do a straight cut with my paper trimmer. Let me grab this guy here. Okay, I'm going to do that straight cut. And then one cut up that middle. One cut up the middle is going to give you two pieces. If you didn't do a two-page layout, that's okay. It's double-sided. Maybe you can utilize it that way. But for the most part, it's a very efficient use of your paper, allowing you to get some clean cuts and to extend your paper to really, again, utilize your paper to its full advantage, like its full potential. Really, so many papers have so much potential in them, and sometimes we get lost in it, but there's a lot of embellishing, tone, feel, color that they give to your design. And then you're going to ink the edges. I was just looking for my inker. I think it's out in my living room still from the cards I was creating when we watched a movie the other day. But you would just basically take your dauber, put it in an ink pad, and ink the edges. This one still has a little ink on it. This way it hides any of the pencil marks, and that's why we kind of just keep it to a simple process, very basic tools. Because again, it kind of does the job. It really does. So you can use whatever colors you want, but we recommend the one that we've kind of tested with various brights, lights, darks, muted, all the above, because you'll be using a various of different papers, is Vintage Photo Ink is the one that we use. Then I would just go through, and my process would be to replace it. So I would trace one out at a time. You can either ink it right away, or you can do all the inking at the last step. You could do all the tracing. So then you would do that, and then I would do the same thing. I'm gonna kind of just share with you guys that process, and then I won't cut everything, but the next step is you could choose a supporting and do the same step for that one. Let me see here. This yellow could be very pretty. It could be pretty. Excuse me. Or this one is really pretty too. And then what you're gonna do is take your accessories and same step. Ultimately, of course, they're a little different than the borders. But the great thing about the accessories is that you can use them over and over again, right? So when you are changing up the paper that you're using, the resources that you're using for whatever project, it really helps change that feel too. So if this is in a pink, it's completely different feel than say when I'm gonna trace it out of this yellow. Always use it when you're cutting out accessories, or I always recommend to put it to the edge of your paper. Again, the reasoning because it will help be efficient use of your paper to extend it to full usage here. Because we all love our pattern paper. We want to make sure that we're utilizing it in whatever fashion that might be. So I'm gonna just take a moment, trace that around. I don't have to kind of get up and guess sizes or you know, I can just sit here and kind of get lost in the tracing and cutting. And then when you go to cut out accessories, a couple tips. Tip number one, detach it from your paper, right? When I'm cutting a round design like this, usually my go-to is I do one way and I take my left hand and let it guide through. So I'll go one way, and this is really nice for like flowers, right? I'll go one way and then I'm gonna go back the other way. I found that's really helpful as I'm guiding this through with my left hand. And then I go back the other way, and then I'm gonna snip in and do the details. But this is honestly, this is where your mind goes into like a subconscious, because over time it's gonna become like second nature. And so I know that I'm making it look really easy, but I promise it's because I've gone through the process a couple times. So, you know, my confidence in that has increased, and that's just like everything. The more you do it, the more often you get familiar with it. And so give yourself some grace as you're doing it. But ultimately, that's kind of just my process when I go through it. Even sometimes when I want to cut over my paper, like not away, I'll put the paper back down and let it catch the excess, and then I can just pick up that slap of paper and slide those pieces into the trash or onto the floor. I have a really bad habit where I take all my scraps and throw them on the floor. Oh, but I don't know why I do that. The trash can's right next to it, but I just throw them on the floor and then clean up when I'm done. So yeah, that's kind of the step. And then of course, inking will help that too. Especially this is where a dauber is nice with the accessories, because it will help you get into those creases. And if you have little like sharp cuts, which often can happen, I just add a little ink, it smooths it out and hides those blemishes very well. So you would do that same process. So yeah, let me pull up your guys' questions really fast. And then of course you would repeat that for every layer that you might have. And so like this right here in the journaling one, if I wanted to journal, utilize that for a journaling space, like a journaling block on my design, I would make sure to intentionally pick something lighter so that my handwriting would show, right? Whatever you choose to handwrite in it. If I didn't want it to be that, I wanted it to be more like a designing thing, then I would say, you know what, I'm gonna do more of a supporting or a pattern or something a little bit with more movement, just to add a pop of color, right? So if you're wanting it for more of a design, then you're looking for a pop of color. If you're wanting it more for a journaling block, then you want something a little bit more light and subtle so that your journaling stands out when you get to it. Okay, let me pull up your guys' questions here. Using the A-B sides usually don't work for me. I have to cut them separately. Don't know why. Manita, I'm not sure why either. We want to figure that out. Make sure you're doing as I shared, where you line it up on the side of the edge of the paper and do that. The other tip that I might have that maybe, I'm just assuming here since I can't, we're gonna dig into that, Manita, is make sure that you align them first, like I did where I laid them all out really quickly, get an assessment of them, and then make sure you are physically or intentionally separating them in that kind of way. Sometimes if you design like this or flip, like you flip one, and then when you go to cut them out, if one's like not upside down or something, then when you go put it back, you're like, wait, what did I do? I'm not sure that's the case for you or not, but I have seen people do that where they try to go flip them or something, right? But as long as you're cutting them out on the paper like I just showed you and they line up, synced up. Now remember 2A, this is the number here, goes with, oh, I have a little washi, hold on. 2B. So 2 and 2, so 2A, 2B. So you don't want to mix, let me show you that. You don't want to mix 1B, because those won't work, right? They don't match up. 1B with 2A, that won't work. But these are in the Paisley Place set, so this is just one border set. Of course, we have variations of border sets depending on your interest, but you can combine this is just going too far, 1A and 1B Paisley Place, right, with say 2A and 2B of Abbey Road. But you want to keep those ones in together as far as A and B goes. I think it's a special thing for me. Okay. Well, hopefully that helps, and the next time I talk to you, you'll say, oh, I figured it out. I figured out what I was doing. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And then of course, let me do a quick breeze through here. Just a reminder, if you guys are not a Kiwi Club member and you love these papers and you're thinking, you know what, I do want good quality thick paper and that's already coordinated and meaningfully coordinated, not just coordinated, but like purposely coordinated in certain ways, because paper really does make a difference. But again, if you have a lot of paper, boy, do we encourage you guys to use your paper stash up, because that's a very fulfilling. When I got to the phase through my Kiwi Lane journey, and I got to the phase where I was literally using up most of my paper stash. Oh, it was so thrilling. It was so exciting. So make sure to check out the Template Club if that's something that'll help you, inspire you each month to kind of make sure to make the time, because you don't find time, guys. You need to put the time on the calendar. And through the creation process, there's so many healthy benefits that come. So make sure you're making that time. It really will help improve in different areas of our lives as we take the time to just disconnect and to refocus. Whatever project you're doing through the creation process, it really helps you to analyze life, to really do a lot of those things that sometimes we don't make the time for. So make sure you take the time. Not only will you finish a project, but the mental and the physical and all of those benefits that are so rewarding in and of itself. The March Kiwi Club, you probably won't get it. You should get the April kit for your first one. You can watch Overstock for this one. Yes, Joni, correct. Thank you for answering that question for her, Joni. If you are interested in signing up for the Kiwi Club, we are actually doing a promo right now through the end of March. So if you want to sign up, your first kit will be officially mailed to you April 1st through the 5th is usually when we ship those out. So that's great. But one of the promotions that we're doing right now is that you'll get a mystery kit shipped to you right away. So say you sign up for March 24th, the shipping team is going to ship you out a mystery kit, one of these full kits. You won't know which one, so it will still be a surprise. So you still get that surprise factor, but it's super fun, and all of them are awesome and great, so you can't go wrong. But you'll get one of those shipped to you right away. They'll get it into the mail, so you'll get that within a few days of signing up. Again, you have to sign up before the end of March 31st. So not only will you get the mystery kit now, but come April 1st, you'll get your first kit. And then each month after that, but it's a month to month. So if you're like, you know what, I'm gonna test it, you could totally test it out and then cancel if you feel like it's something that you're not sure is for you. But hopefully you give it a good try and it inspires you as you play to create. And like always, make sure to check out those added ideas that we put into our process to make sure that we're sharing things that we create with it, and with the goal all in mind. That we hope that it inspires you one way or another. Whether you use the same designs and you are able to create your own versions of those, or if you're looking at it saying, oh, I love how they put some accessories here and I love how they put the 3 photos, but instead of a flower, I'm gonna put a sun because I have pictures of us at the park or something like that, right? So using it as a place of ideas to be sprung from. So all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and hanging out with me. And I hope that you guys, of course, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be we'll be tuning in tomorrow. Our crafting event for tomorrow, of course, is a show and tell with Tanya King. That's at 6 o'clock Central Time. So if you're looking for more fun ideas using this March Kiwi Club kit, or just ideas in general, hopefully you'll tune in and see what Tanya has to share with us tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock p.m. right here on Facebook. And like always, I hope you guys keep playing, creating, and connecting in your lives, and we'll check in with you guys later. All right, take care.